Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello and welcome to this somewhat spooky episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
With a tail.
I keep waiting for Charles. That's why I'm delaying.
Jenna?
I said I'm Jenna.
Oh, there you.
It's all good. And
Yeah.
I'm Chris.
I'm Stu.
And on this episode, we're going to second half of our exciting trip up to the Argo Hotel in Crofton, Nebraska. So this episode will deal with our actual experiences at the Argo Hotel and what we saw there and what we thought of the place. I guess we can just start off with overall impressions of the place. What you guys think? We'll start with let's start with Seth this time.
Oh, man. So, like, the hotel itself is amazing.
I'll start some video in the
I mean,
background.
it would, I was going to say, let's get some pictures up here. So, yeah, it's just it's a very well restored, old hotel. There's lots of beautiful woodwork inside.
Built in 1912.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't know all the details about it. I'm just going to tell you that it looks amazing.
Look at the staircase. Isn't that
Yeah,
Yeah.
built in
It's like-
1912 to serve railroad traffic at the time. And one of the owners, Frank and his wife, Megan, own the place and have been working on restoring it since they purchased it. How long have they owned it? I can't remember. Was
6 years. I
6
think.
years?
Yes.
Yeah. About
So they've been working on restoring it and insulating the whole thing. They've just done an amazing amount of work on it. Let me turn the audio up there. Kind of there's music playing as you walk in, which is kind of cool. And you can just see a lot of ornate woodwork. But anyway, Frank told me the hotel was built by Sears and Roebuck Company.
Oh, for
And,
heaven's sake.
Yeah, very solidly built. There's I think he said 2 foot between the floors of space filled with these giant 12-foot joists stacked on top of each other. It sounds like the place is solid enough to survive a nuclear apocalypse. But this is the lobby area of the hotel, and a lot of very rich woodwork here. Then you walk up the stairs and lots of pictures of people. I never did any of you guys look at the pictures to see what all that was about?
They're like high school classes, like class of different years of graduation pictures, it looks like.
Yeah. So anyway, it was built in 1912, but in the 1940s, it was converted into a sanitarium. And Stu, some of the history of that. Did you want to talk about that, or?
Oh, not no more than you guys did it because I was there for the
Okay.
for the talk. But just
Gotcha.
in general, tuberculosis is such a terrible epidemic that really ravaged parts of the country. In New England, because my specialty is vampire folklore. In New England, they would literally blame tuberculosis at times on vampires and go hunting the last people who died, thinking they were dragging the next victim down to the grave. It's a very slow, horrific disease that people lived with for years and just wasted them away into shadows of themselves before they finally succumbed. And then when say one person in the family would die of tuberculosis, that's when the next one would start showing symptoms because of the slow rate of its accumulation. So it
Mhm.
It was grimmer even than most diseases that you'll see today.
Yeah. So so that room was the room that Chris purchased for the evening, and that and the room next to it share this nice little balcony out here, which would be kind of a nice place to sit in the spring or the fall, maybe even the summer if it's a cool enough evening. And then right across from the Argo Hotel is a Lutheran church.
Thought it was Methodist.
It was Lutheran. It was Lutheran.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Apparently, the town is like 95% Catholic or something. Is what
Yeah.
they were saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was when it was settled. Now as time goes on, these things become a little more diffuse.
But so that was one of the rooms. The other room that we had that was supposedly the most haunted room in the hotel, and
Every room here, they have 11 rooms. All of them have a bathroom. So if you're going to stay over the night, you've got your own bathroom. It's all secure. And then some of them have the parlor area that you can sit in. It's really pretty.
Yeah, and it wasn't originally that way. They've actually been going through remodeling it. There was every room was kind of there were shared bathrooms initially, and then they remodeled it so every room had a bathroom. Later on.
Yeah. And this is the room next to ours, which was empty. Oh, dang it! Sorry about that. And I should say, let me go back just a minute here. So the room that Stu had was was it the Roosevelt Suite, Stu? Or
yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's supposedly the most haunted suite in the hotel. And the interesting thing is that when you're in the bathroom, you hear the distinct sound of someone breathing,
Snoring.
like they're asleep, snoring in the next room. And this is the next room, and there was nobody in the next room. And we eventually realized that it had to be the plumbing in the room that was making this noise, but it was constant.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The toilet must have had some sort of a leak somewhere, maybe, or something.
Yeah, because you could hear water running.
It was really creepy because all night, I would get up, whatever time I would get up to go to the bathroom, I would go in there, and I could have sworn somebody was in the next room sleeping. I could hear them breathing just as clear as day. And but obviously this is the next room over, and there was nobody in there overnight. So unless it's a snoring ghost, then I'm going to assume that it was the plumbing. But it wasn't. I mean, you could only hear it if you were in the bathroom, and it wasn't loud or obnoxious by any means. It was just something like, the walls must be really thin because I can hear the guy in the next room sleeping, snoring.
That would be kind of like you die as a ghost with sleep apnea, and your CPAP doesn't come with you to the afterlife.
Right. So this is kind of after we got to the hotel, after going to the ghost town, and we're all just kind of getting our bearings and relaxing for a little bit as we wait for the evening to set in. We're figuring out where we're going to go for dinner. And so this was supposedly the most haunted room in the hotel. Now, right by where Chris is sitting, and you can just see the corner of it there.
A Ouija board.
We brought a Ouija board with us, and I'm pausing it because the owners said, whatever you do, please do not open a portal to the underworld in the Roosevelt Suite. So what we ended up doing was we set up the Ouija board there. We put the planchette in the middle of the Ouija board, centered on a spot we knew exactly where it was. And then at one point I just said, if there are any spirits in this room that wish to communicate with us, please do so by moving this planchette. And it never moved. So either they didn't want to communicate with us, or maybe they were off doing ghost things.
Maybe they heard when you say a pun and they were like, nope.
Yes, they were out.
Out of all the living world, we do not want to talk to
Bill. To the pun master. And then there's some electronic gear we bought for ghost detecting, which didn't get set off. We had no hits on any of that.
We didn't bought, we brought.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, we
at
bought
one
it at
point
some
you did
point.
bought it, so
Yeah.
And then he goes down the dark hallway.
Well, sure, you got to go down the creepy dark hallway, because how else are you going to see the giant gaping maw of death waiting for you, waiting to consume you? Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. So it was. Let me speed this up a little bit. Well, here we go. We're moving now. So this kind of just cuts back around that. If you go straight there, there's stairs that take you back down into the dining area.
Oh, okay.
Which we'll see in the next video. And then basically we come back around to the front here. So
it's really pretty.
Yeah, it's a very beautifully restored. They've just done a fantastic job of it. Now, what we did was once we got checked in, we kind of relaxed for a little bit. I'm going to pause it here. And we ended up going to a restaurant for dinner that was not too far away, about 5, maybe 7 miles, something
toward
like
Yankton,
that.
right?
Yankton, yeah, I was on the river, and I can't. I can almost remember the name of the place, but I can't quite. But anyway, for most of us, it was really good food. For Linda, the fish she had was not so good, and she had a rough night of it. But other than that, it was. I thought it was delicious. I enjoyed my food.
It was good.
Yeah, and I would recommend going there. It was a very popular place. A lot of people eating there. So then we came back, and I'll start this kind of up again. And so as you go down the stairs again, back to the main lobby, that's where we set up to play a game of Dungeons and Dragons. Seth created a one-off campaign for us. Seth, you want to tell us a little bit about your how you found the campaign and what made you think it would lend itself to this venue?
Well, so there's something called Rolled and Told. I believe it's started off as a website, but now they've got books out, and the books are just one-shot campaigns. Each one's just a little self-contained adventure. And so our friend Benito showed me the books a while ago, and I got one of my own. So I found a thematically appropriate adventure from in there about a haunted carnival where they would have to play games to release them and innocent people. And Bill screwed it all up for everybody.
I would argue he did not, though. I mean, that was one of the best things about the Seth. Okay,
he didn't screw it up for everyone. He screwed it up for about 8 of the survivors who you might have saved.
Well, that went along. Seth, what I'm going to say is this: for those listeners who are interested in D&D, you did an excellent job DMing in that you had each of us give our personal credos as we began. And my character was a cleric who was really all about, he's a chaotic good guy. He was the stereotypical life cleric, all about healing and helping people. And then Chris was playing this paladin who was all about the duty again to his fellow human beings, to fellow people, and helping people at all costs. But then Bill's character was this artificial construct.
Warforged Echo Knight.
A Warforged Echo Knight who was very explicit that if you're not a warrior, I really don't value you as a human being. And as we go fighting here, Bill's character realizes that if we keep doing this, one of his fellow warriors, the people he really values, is going, might cash in their chips. Yeah. So we're trying to save these 12 captives in this cage, and Bill basically starts realizing that's not going to happen, and so he starts sending us home instead of the captives, and that's how the game went. So really, in terms of playing a character, I don't think it ruined it at all, because that's the way the game.
No, nothing was ruined as the game. The game was fantastic. Yeah, we all had fun. It's just. Yeah.
It just ended sooner than it would have, because rather than send home the people in the cage, I chose to send home my compatriots that were fighting with me because I knew that as we played the games, the chances of us losing at some point were getting greater and greater.
Now, I will also say this. It was a WTF moment because Bill did not discuss this with us at all. So, waiting for your turn, and then all of a sudden Bill names you as getting returned back home, which you only assume that's actually happening. We don't really know. He could have also killed me right then and there.
True.
So he, tells Seth, our DM, send back Chase, who was my character, the paladin, and poof, I'm gone. I'm out of the game. I don't know whether I'm alive or dead.
That was the downside of that, is he was out of the game.
Yeah.
So
anyone
neither here nor there, but we
just game over. You won. Yeah. Good job.
And the reason I chose Chris first was because I got a +4 on my gameplay as long as Stu's character was still around. Giving us some sort of benefit. So I thought, okay, well, there's I got a really good score here. I know I can send Chris home. So I did that. And I thought, because Stu's score will help me there. And then I thought, okay, I've just got to try to get a high enough score to send Stu home. And then those guys are safe. And then I should be able, because my character being Warforged had a really high strength. And so I was doing you take the mallet and you try to hit the hammer and cling the bell kind of a thing. So I figured I had a pretty good opportunity doing that. But then Seth's like, the evil guy that ran the circus said you can only play a specific game 3 times. And so I had already done it once to free somebody in one of the cages, which meant I only had 2 more chances. So I knew I had to get Stu and Chris's character.
There were other games to play.
I know.
No one even tried the Goat Boys thing.
Goat Boys.
What were the different games, Seth? Do you remember some of them?
They were carnival games. So you had the ring toss, the hammer, or the one where you hammer the bell and it shoots the thing up. So the strength contest of strength. There was the game where you toss balls at mugs and try and knock a bunch down. There was the cup game where someone would hide a pea under the cup and then they would shuffle it around. And might have been one more, but then there was the Goat Boys game where he has you eat strange things. You roll, or horrible things. You roll a dice, a D6, and some of the options are 10 feet of hempen rope, boots, just a boot.
Oh!
Some of them are really bad, and that's one of the easier ones to lose, I think. And I think that the adventure was designed so that eventually you would get to there and have to try some of these.
So Goat Boy waits for us all is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, originally Linda was supposed to play with us too, and she was also playing a paladin. And so you guys would have had 2 paladins, a cleric, and and Bill's fighter.
Warforged, yeah.
But there is a really easy way out of that campaign, and it involves a lot of radiant damage, which you guys could have dealt. So if you guys would have asked the right questions, you might have gotten out of there in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Nah.
But there was no way that I was going to get out of there alone once I sent those guys back.
Nope, you were without radiant damage, and you would have definitely died had you tried to do anything other than what you did. You effectively trapped yourself and doomed everyone there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now how the game ended.
So after you had sent Stu's character back, you decided to investigate more.
Yeah.
And try and figure out kind of more of what's going on. So you rolled stealth really good, snuck back into the area where there were wagons they were guarding, and got into the wagon where the ghost's remains were stored. And so you didn't actually find the remains. You were just goofing around in there, and then failed a stealth check.
Oh.
And the ringmaster showed up, basically to taunt you with going, "Oh no, that's our remains right there. But you don't have any way to damage it, so you're screwed. You screwed yourself. Haha, I win." The DM, I got to do a little
Happy dance.
Yeah.
"You messed up." the bad guy going, "I won and I know it."
Yeah. No, it was
Okay.
fun. So what we also got to tour the basement. So the owners took us on a tour of the place, and I'm just going to go ahead and start that little video section now. So this was the dining area that I mentioned earlier. The behind me is the stairs that led down from the second floor into this dining area, and they do a really fantastic breakfast in the morning here, because your room rate includes breakfast the next morning.
It's a
And
B&B.
so you sit in here with all the other guests of the hotel, sit around a table, and they bring out this wonderful breakfast feast, and all kind of sit around and eat and chat and talk about your adventures, and really fun. And so they, as part of this tour, she showed us around that area and explained a lot of the artifacts in that room. And then now we're out into the again, the main lobby area. That's the area right there, those sofas where we sat to play our D&D game, actually. And it was a lot of fun. And then learning about all this stuff. Then they took us down to the basement, and the basement area is where the sanitarium used to be. So in the 1940s, this hotel was converted into a sanitarium. And they say that the basement is the most haunted area of the hotel. So the most haunted bedroom is the one that Stu had upstairs, but by far the most haunted area of the hotel is down in the basement. So we're heading down to the basement right now. And to make it more
Why did I have to touch
adventure like, yeah, I switched it to ghost hunter mode, my camera. So, but I switch it back when we get to the end of the stairs, because I'm like, yeah, the green's just gonna not show up all the interesting woodwork and everything that we wanted to see.
Was that articles that they had on the walls, or just Nebraska?
I think it was just Nebraska stuff. I didn't really look at it
actually
closely.
The stuff on the walls going down were kids' books. Those were some of Frank's books from his childhood. They just used to decorate, and it really added an interesting.
Oh yeah, you can see the covers of those books around the ring of the ceiling there.
Yeah, and it was either joyful or macabre, depending on how you want to view it.
Right.
Yeah, and that table right there is a table that Frank built, and God, what is it? About 12 feet long, I think, Seth.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, it's
anyway, they offered us to come back and play a candlelit game of Dungeons and Dragons in the sanitarium down the basement.
That'd be cool.
Do that.
Yeah, we got to do that. Now, the only thing is, they said this area, they have to close it at 11 because things just get too
weird,
supernatural after that.
I'm pretty sure it's because they have to go to bed for the night.
Right.
Well, we got to stick with the first story, Seth. This is all about the haunted Argo Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they didn't say. I'm pretty sure what they said was they had to go to bed.
Right.
It wasn't about the haunting.
No, true. But, I mean, it makes for a great story. And this is a cool, behind Chris there is a very cool bar that they got. It's actually antique from an old saloon. It's actually, they were pointing out some bullet holes from some black powder bullets that were shot into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's very beautifully restored. And they've also got this very cool player piano down there. And it actually works. They restored it.
Figured out how to make it work.
Figured out. I got on YouTube and found out how to make it work, and we're actually going to hear it here. They actually started up. Make sure the volume's up. Yep. So,
Was
So
that
in the 30s and 40s, they converted them with Cooper vacuum motors.
Oh,
That's
really?
the
So
sound you're hearing.
okay.
Right, sounds like a vacuum.
Scott Joplin, the entertainer. It's one of my favorite artists.
that's awesome.
This is beautiful.
Yep, surprise.
This surprised everyone.
Yeah, none of us knew Seth or Chris was
Chris.
a huge piano player. So
That was awesome.
this
Oh,
is,
oh no, there's dolls?
Jenna.
No.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
Dolls, no. Mm-mm.
there's dolls
There's a severed head in that chair.
and a severed head in that school desk.
I remember when we were going through this room, they told us that they just like found a couple heads, and I'd been like, "Where?" They were out antique shopping though, so they don't just find heads in the hotel, thankfully.
Right. And it's
Oh,
not
God.
a real head, of course.
Yeah,
But yeah, and then this is further back. This room has all been restored too. They were talking about all the work they had to do to restore this and bring in the different wood antique pieces that they found around to decorate the room. I think they said the floor in this room is the original floor from when the
Tile.
hotel was built.
Wow.
Which is very cool. And they had a lot of very cool ghost stories. They said one of the ones that's the most well-known, maybe most persistent, is about a woman that came there to have a child or something, and she and the child, I think, died. Was it during childbirth? And supposedly the mother's ghost still wanders the hotel looking for her child. And the previous owner had bought a picture that she had hung, I think, in the dining area, and it was kind of up on the wall in the dining area. Here's
I was in the
more,
bar. Yeah, I was in the
here's
bar.
more ghost type footage. I was hoping to catch something on the camera, but didn't. But anyway, they hung it down there, and it was hung up, and it had like museum glass or something in front of it. So it was really kind of old lead glass. It was really hard to see the picture because it was a dark picture anyway. But it was of a young woman, and she, the owner, told everybody that it was supposedly a painting or portrait of the woman that lost her child that haunts the hotel to this day. Well, they finally took that picture down and they moved it. It now sits behind the bar.
Yeah.
And Frank went and got a bright LED flashlight to shine through so we could see what it was. And Seth, how would you describe it? It looked like it was painted probably in the 60s.
yeah.
It was not a painting. It looks like a photograph actually.
Yeah.
Kind of a photograph that's like maybe been gone through a filter, and it was definitely in the 60s or 70s. She's it's a woman of African American descent. It looks like.
Yeah.
She has,
Yeah.
and she even has hoop earrings and so forth. It's obviously not period.
Oh God, there's a shadow. Oh, that's Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, like the previous owner, though, like her brother had like scratched out her nipple because
Yeah. Because I guess those are the things you do when you live in Crofton.
Yeah, we know the first time I ever saw that painting was, in that picture. It was in 2016 when a friend of mine stopped there to when they were still running it as a full on restaurant, and we stopped there and had a steak, and it was really nice. And that was hanging up behind the bar where we were eating, which is not open to the public now. That was back at the dining room a little bit, and yeah, from a distance and from that lighting, it has a very surreal, almost like a lenticular image type of quality, and it takes on another meaning. Just to interject a little bit about the history of the building, and if someone wants to be more specific, they sure can, because I don't remember all the particulars myself. But after its days as a tuberculosis sanitarium, it went through a couple of medical phases. First, for a doctor who there's some question about their credentials. It was more of a quack thing. But then,
Oh, geez.
but then it was a real doctor's office for quite some time before it was finally repurchased and remodeled into a bed and breakfast.
Well, I think they said that when the doctor that was like the quack doctor, it was still back when just like anyone could, or the term doctor was less regulated.
Mm-hmm.
So they might have been a quack, but they from what they were saying, he was also probably about as good as the town was going to get.
Mm-hmm. Like, what else you going to do, kind of thing. Yeah.
Like he apparently had some experience. And just not like a formal medical training. I think they said he was from medic during the war or something. Not technically a doctor, but he did have some medical knowledge. Or he was technically a doctor because no one could tell him he couldn't use that word.
Yeah. One of the more macabre aspects of the structure, and I first saw this in a video done by Nebraska Public Television back in the when the previous owner had it, which I can't find anymore. I think they took it down when the place changed ownership. But one of the more macabre aspects of the Argo is that at one point during renovations, a bag of bones was discovered in the walls.
No.
And the early rumor was that it was bones of a baby, of an infant. And then the official story that was put out in the NETV documentary was that they were actually just animal bones. There was nothing to that. But then Frank and Megan have done some research with the sheriff, and they said they found some records. They were the bones of a human child, of someone about 8 years old, and they were sent to the state, and they have, as far as I knew, they were never identified.
Maybe that's why that ghost woman is walking around looking for her infant.
Yeah,
an 8-year-old.
There could be something. There could be something going on there. I'm not. And all the time that it was a medical facility and a TB sanitarium, what people did with indigent children over the years, does not fit with our current ethics nearly as well as it should.
Right.
And there's an old superstition. I'm just going to throw this one out there. I have no idea this has anything to do with anything. There is an old superstition that to make a structure last, that you should entomb a human being in the walls. Yeah, there's some great epic poems from Serbia about that, and I'm reminded of the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The castle sank into the swamp, and I guess in the original versions of that tale, the way you keep the castle from sinking into the swamp is by entombing a human being in the walls. I have no idea that has anything to do with that bag at all, because that's obviously very late for that. I've never seen that even applied in an American context at all. But just because it's spooky season, I'll throw that out there.
Nice.
Yeah. So overall, highly recommended. It was a great stay. Very quiet. If you like quiet hotels, except for the breathing toilet. But by then you're awake anyway, right? But yeah, it was a beautiful hotel, great food for breakfast.
Special thanks to Megan.
Yeah, fantastic history. Creepy pictures on the wall in some places.
Right.
Don't spend too much time locking eyes with the mother-in-law.
Right.
Yes.
That's a creepy one. Yeah. So anyway, we hope you guys will go check it out. Stay at the Argo. And if you do, let us know what you think. And if you had any supernatural experiences while there. And be sure that if we end up going back, having a D&D session down in the sanitarium by candlelight, we will certainly cover that on this show. We'll have to bring Jenna.
Not for nothing, but when we left, they were in the process of putting it on the market. So
I was going to say it's for sale.
Yeah, if you want your own haunted hotel, and you have a couple $1 million, I don't know how much, check it out.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about their ghost experiences as well? Do you want me to interject a bit about that?
Well, didn't we have a bit of video that we can use? Of them
I already
about?
Yeah, I already showed all the video that I had for this episode because we're already 35 minutes in. So
Oh, that is fair.
A lot of those are a lot longer. So we could always do another episode on that.
Or I tell you what, why don't you just put a link to a extra video on the website?
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
I mean, we could have extra content this week.
Ooh.
Bonus content.
We have plenty more to
That's
share.
an idea.
With our talks with Frank and Megan, there's plenty more.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll watch for that. Check for that in the comment section. We'll get that out there for you guys. So thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed it, and we certainly hope you'll check out the Argo Hotel at some point. And again, let us know what you think if you do. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week with more fun content. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.
Courage.
Later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.